your source for local for more than 30 years. This is WCLU Local News.
Well, we've checked in several different times with our county officials about what's going on around these parts here in Barren County, and most recently we talked with Judge Executive Jamie Byrd on a video interview. But today we're doing a little bit different modality on the radio, and we're going to be bringing in County Attorney Mike Richardson as well. Joining us here today are both of those folks. First, how are you all today?
Doing good.
Doing good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about some recent happenings in the county. I think the first major one happening earlier this week from when we were recording this was the fact that the county deemed a group of horses as surplus property, and now that has finalized this process out for the county and its citizens. Let's talk about what went into that process of closing this chapter out in Barren County's history.
Well, from the get-go, I mean, this was obviously the important topic that needed to get resolved. And as county attorney, I have a few jobs, other than child support and handling criminal offense, misdemeanor offenses. Also, I'm the chief litigator for the county. So that was the first order of business we had to get around to. In trying to resolve the litigation, just bringing an end to the whole issue. And it took a while, and I know a lot of people were pretty, kind of wondering, hey, what's going on? Are they taking this serious? And it was taken serious, but there's a lot of lawyers involved, and I probably spent every other day, if not every day, in some way, shape, or form, whether it's talking to somebody, sending a text, calling, or going back and forth with the other lawyers. And also working with the appellate lawyer that was handling the case originally for the county that was supplied by CACO, the Association of Counties. It just ended up taking all that while, but we came to a result that we feel ended the issue entirely for the county, and I think we can finally move on.
So, Mike, you've been in this role now for going on 3 months, and this has probably taken up the majority of your time. Is that safe to say?
Yes, and I can't just give up on my other duties. You have to try to find a balance, and there were a lot of times I was working at night, even when if I had to go for training or go out of town for a conference. We had to stay on top of this issue, and that's just part of the job. I mean, you get things like this that happen. Not too many county attorneys get it in their first couple of months, but having worked at the county attorney's office before, I was ready to go on day one, and so I wasn't. There was never a moment I was ever panicking or anything like that. It's just you got to wade through it, and half the time it's people that are get impatient with it, and understandably so. But you just got to keep everybody calm and be like, listen, there's a process to this, and just working your way through it.
Aside from the conglomerate of attorneys that you mentioned during the court meeting, and then also just a moment ago, that sort of slows this process down just because there are a lot of people you have to confer with, that sort of thing. Let's touch base. I think two of the biggest pressing questions right now. First, how do we declare something surplus property? And on top of that, given that one of these horses has been in the possession of the former judge executive, how will that horse be repossessed and then obviously given over to Brittany Turner, as the order said?
Well, basically, obviously the lien was the one issue. So all the lien is basically you're putting your hand on something saying, hey, I did some work for this, pay me. And that's all it is. It transfers with the horse. So what we didn't want to do was get, generally you don't want to get bogged down in litigation. You can say something's valid or invalid, but it doesn't matter until a court says so, and that takes time. But you also got these other issues with the pending appeal and just trying to resolve the whole thing. So this, to me, seemed like the path that was most appropriate to take to end it for the county. Basically, and to declare something surplus, we don't follow the model procurement code. Counties are given a lot of leeway when it comes to disposition of surplus property, which surplus property is property that you no longer have a use for. And that's not to say that these horses are not great creatures or they're not important. But the fact of the matter is there was no, there's no billet in county government to take care of horses. There's no use for the property from county government or for county employees. So they are the essential surplus property. So you can declare it surplus, and there's a number of ways you can deal with that. And one of those, according to our ordinances, you can transfer possession of it as long as it's for a public purpose. And to me, there's no greater public purpose in ending litigation for a county. And even if there wasn't litigation, I mean, I think just ending this. This has been like the hot button topic, even when I was campaigning, and I never campaigned on the horses. I didn't feel like I had enough info at the time, and I didn't think it was appropriate for me to comment on it. But even when I was out campaigning, that was the number one issue people would bring up. Like, what about those horses? It was important to people. So there's a public purpose even in that, in just transferring the horses, ending the litigation, and just ending the whole process. But the transfer would occurs like anything else. Basically, Brittany Turner will be responsible for picking that up, and that's going to happen. As far as the horse that's with the former judge executive, basically that's their problem to deal with, and they understood that as part of the deal. And some people might see that as, well, why is the county not dealing with it? Well, again, if you're going to deal with it, you're going to have those other horses sitting there for quite some time, and it's just going to keep dragging on and on and on. To me, this seemed like the quickest path to resolving all the issues concerning the horses. My responsibility as county attorney is to the county, and to try to get the county, this issue for the county resolved, and we did that.
So to clarify just one more time, now that transfer of that lone horse that is in the possession of the Hales is going to be between Brittany Turner and them. That's okay. The county is going to be hands off on that. So Jamie, talking from your perspective on this, certainly Mike has handled the legal process, but obviously for you as the judge executive, this is a concern for citizens. They've been concerned about this, county property being in the hands of the former judge. Talk about just what, from your perspective, I imagine this is a relief that this is closed.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for everything that Mr. Richardson did here as the county attorney to represent Barren County to get us, out of this, a situation that we've been in for not just the past 2 months, for almost going on 3 years. And here's the thing people don't understand is actually how much time he has put towards this, and everybody wants to talk about how much money the horses have cost this county. And you have to factor in time also into that. And he's put a ton of time into it, and he has a lot of more responsibility other than just the horses. I've put time into this as well. And, when you're trying to focus on other things in the county that are your EMS, your 911, and all these other issues, and you're constantly dealing with this issue, you have to, at one point, you have to pick what issues are most prominent for Barren County that we need to focus on. And the horses, like you said, there's nothing against the animals, and we are, we're animal people. It's just we felt in the best interest this was not something that Barren County should be a part of. And the way Mr. Richardson was able to work it out to get Barren County out of the legal responsibilities in that's a huge thing, and we can move on. And this is hopefully our final conversation about it. But we really want the people of Barren County to understand that our main focus in every bit of this has always been what's best for Barren County. And this is what is exactly the best thing for Barren County.
The other aspect of this horse issue that I think is pressing for citizens was the lien that was filed just after the new year. And when we were originally reporting on that, Mike, I know that you had some limited information. You couldn't speak to a lot of it. But as you said, this lien is going to be carrying over through this deal. So now this lien is not so much in the county's hands. It's not in the county's hands anymore, but now it is rather between the Hales and Miss Turner. Am I correct in saying that?
That's correct.
Okay. The county in no way paid that money that was being sought by the Hale family. You all simply agreed in that process of, when you were working this out, that the Turner family would then inherit that business of figuring that problem out. Is that right?
That's right. We didn't pay any money on that. Again, a lien is basically someone, and horse liens, we don't see them too often around here. Usually you see them a lot in northern Kentucky. But there's a process, there's a statute that needs to be followed. So that does not automatically mean we owe any money. It basically follows the horse. Just like, usually when you hear about liens, you hear about mechanics liens with construction and property. People aren't used to it, thinking of it as carrying with the property because the house is sitting there, doesn't move. With the horse obviously being movable property, that lien's going to stay with it. And that was something that was thoroughly discussed with the Turners, and they've agreed to take on that issue. So it's not coming as a surprise. That was part of the process. And we didn't want it to be a surprise. That was something that we wanted to, again, resolve. And that's just something they're going to have to deal with, and they're prepared to do that.
So switching gears a little bit, Jamie, talk about what's been going on your side of county government. There have been some exciting things coming about. We've got youth signups going on at Jackie Browning, and then with GAP, we've got a county logo. I know that's something that you're really excited about. We've also got this Beautify Barren County group starting up. So let's talk about all of those things.
So we, there's been a lot of work in the last couple months put into our logo. We hired Justin Browning in county government. His company, we pay him through his company, Daddy Jack Solutions. But, he and we put together some ideas about how to rebrand Barren County in a positive way. And, and he's done an excellent job in that. I gave him the ideas of what I would like to see in the logo, and he executed it perfectly. And, there in the end, we were fine, tweeting all these things of just, making sure that everything we wanted was represented in the right way. And everything about the logo has a meaning. There's a triangle in the picture, and it stands for the three corners of the three municipalities here in Barren County. The colors, the maroon and the blue touching, are a sign of unity, because there's a lot of great things going on right now between, all of everybody in Barren County right now, and the colors signify that, in my opinion. We have the green that's on the picture that kind of has a little flow to it. That stands for the agriculture roots that we have here in Barren County that we're very proud of. And the blue kind of has a little bit of a flow to it as well. Stands for our Barren River Lake and all of our water assets that we have here as well that we're very proud of. And the cave in the middle, of course, represents that we are an entryway to Mammoth Cave National Park. And Justin, even in the lettering of Barren County, it has some Celtic touch to it. We have a Scottish heritage here in Barren County, so he did an excellent job. It was just great what he did, and I feel like that logo now will represent Barren County well, and we can rebrand it and kind of do some other things. He's going to also help me out with the website as well, make it more accessible for Barren County. And you have to understand, I'd like to have maybe a calendar, that we have a calendar for Barren County events, not just, events that we want Barren County people to come to, but events that we want everybody to come to as well, so that anybody that comes into Barren County can click on the event page.
And on that note, too, mentioning about the logo, we do have signage around the county. Is there going to be any placement of that branding on those entryways?
So it all kind of plays in the part with, we started a nonprofit called Beautify Barren County, and it's getting some traction online. We started our Facebook. We got a brand logo that we just came out with, and we've got some big ideas. And so that the logo was a big part of that. And we'll be able to use that logo, hopefully, and we will use that logo on the signs that we're going to do through Beautify Barren County. We have plans for the 65 North and South. We're getting some designs and costs right now. Then we also are going to do Cumberland Parkway, both entryways into the county on Cumberland Parkway as well. We're looking at 31E, and we'll be looking at 90, but we'll start on the major entryways, because signage and appearance is a huge deal when you're bringing in these individuals that are looking at our community, whether they want to open a business here, live here. We want to market Barren County as best we can. Sure. And we're going to do some other things too, like we talked about, into purchasing the right of way and possibly on the sides of the road when you're pulling in, so that we can put in maybe some wildflowers that are grown here in Barren County. Or basically we could do there's so many ideas, and we talked about Beautify Barren County. We're going to actually do a huge holiday celebration, because I've always said my big thing in Barren County is people come to Barren County in the summers and the warm weather, and, we got to get them here when it's cold weather. So that's what we're going to do, in addition to our concerts that we do through the other nonprofit. Beautify Barren County is really honestly an effort of individuals in Barren County taking private money, donating to the nonprofit, and making things happen for their community.
And, I've heard a lot of good input from folks traveling into Warren County on 65 North, right there at the Simpson County line. There's a huge display.
It's gorgeous.
And and so it would be neat to see, something in the area of Barren County all across.
And actually, we talked with the Pride organization that has done that in Bowling Green, and they've been going now for 30 years. So we're late to the game in that, but we are going to move at a fast pace to get things moving, because Barren County can do those things as well. And honestly, it plays a part even with Warren County. We want even I-65 we want people driving through Kentucky to look at every town in Barren, and not just in Barren County, but we want to stand out and we want to play the game. We're going to play the game. So.
under your leadership or under the umbrella of your leadership, several department heads in the county that includes the jailer, the sheriff, includes Parks and Rec. Probably from the biggest or the most recent fiscal court meeting, we talked a little bit about the jail approving some new contracts. So we've got some stories coming out with jailer Aaron Shirley on those. But talk about another pressing issue. There's a little bit of a job shortage, or excuse me, a employee shortage, not a job shortage.
Yeah,
there are jobs available,
yes.
right? Employee shortage at the jail. What are you all doing to work on that?
So Aaron Shirley and I have talked, and we have to get more people to work at the jail, and we're looking at what we pay in that position, how we can afford to give raises or to give a higher pay scale to individuals to work there, because we got to figure out the funding, and you have to understand that we are on a budget that we're still playing in from the fiscal year before us, so our fiscal year ends at the end of June, and how can we add in these opportunities and maybe a career path more for the jail employees, because really you don't keep jail employees for a long time, so we've got to figure out a way to entice them to stay longer for those incentives to take effect. And he's working really hard, and he's putting a lot of time into it as well, and he needs some help, and I get that, and now it's just about conveying that with our magistrates and trying to figure out how do we help him and make that happen. And
I can say from what I have seen, there's been a lot of work going on at the jail. In fact, the jailer has a cot in his office that he says that he sleeps on some nights. So, that's interesting. Moving away from the jail on those notes to going back to some exciting things. Spring sports are coming up. And of course, Jackie Browning Park's a happening place probably from, April to September, and that range is really a busy time. Parks Director Chris Jennings is working on getting, youth enrolled in this. And now you all have a new partnership with the Glasgow Athletics Program. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah. It's a wonderful opportunity for Barren County and the Barren County Parks and Rec and the GAP program to come together and really make an impact on this community in the Parks and Rec department. Chris has worked really hard on getting the park ready to go and making sure that we are offering, the programs that we need to offer for all of our ages. And we opened up some new age range, to do some coach pitch. We didn't have, as many coach pitch options last year. So, we have we did a 5 to 6 year old coach pitch age and a 7 to 8 year old coach pitch age. And I've had some concerns on both, some kids want to play up, some kids think that, so we're trying. I've told some people that have some concerns is just reach out to us and we'll address the issue. And also, you have to trust us. We're going to look at these numbers. We're going to make sure that these kids are put in the right age groups. We're not going to, put kids in groups they shouldn't be in. We want this to be a competitive league. We want it to be a league that kids can learn. And we're going to just give us some time, and we're going to put a lot of effort into making sure this goes correctly.
There have been, our electric companies and our telephone companies, however you want to, put all of those in together. They've been working on some expansion of their internet, and I know this is something likely more relevant to you than it is the city here in Glasgow. But what about Park City, Cave City, those areas? Fiber, getting to those areas. Or have there been talks on that with our rural providers?
Yes, actually, I did have a conversation about that the other day with SCRTC, and we're trying to, help them. And I've offered any help from the county assistants to, move those things up. And in their defense, there's a shortage of supplies, and so and contractors that they are using are kind of at capacity at this point. So we're trying to work together as much as possible, because I do feel like that's a very strong thing that needs to be provided. It's a big deal for the people of Barren County. And, I know people, it's a hometown service, but they have expanded into other counties that they also have they have responsibilities with as well. But we keep reminding them, I actually had the conversation with them about Park City the other day.
You have had good success with pulling in some different acts here to Glasgow and Barren County at the Plaza. I think a lot of those shows, through Helping the Hardworking, your nonprofit, have done well. What are we looking at maybe down the road? Do you have anything lined out?
Well, we're working on some other big acts Cannot announce yet, but we are. We will probably not do as much during the summer because the summer is a busy time, and you have Entertain Glasgow that does great events. They've already announced some of their schedule for the summer. You'll have some events on the square, and people will be at the lake. We have the Friends of Barren River Lake. They'll have their beach fest this summer. You'll have the 4th of July celebrations. So we'll take a little bit of a break in the summer because, my end game with those concerts is to provide a need when there is a need. And, the need is during the colder weather, of course, to bring people to Barren County. And it really has been an awesome experience to go to these events and see how much it brings. I mean, I've seen people that have moved away that used to live here to come back to these events, and they're like, this is awesome. And that's great to hear, and maybe those people, these are people who are doctors in Louisville and in Bowling Green and Nashville, and they're successful people. Maybe we can get them to come back to Barren County one day and thrive here and raise their children here. So that's, that's our end game, is to just improve quality of life here so that we can create Barren County to be a place to live, work, and play. And it's been honestly, it's been great, but I'm working on some big names. So yeah, you stay tuned, but I do like the way the winter series has worked.
Sure.
Doing the January, February. We might do one in November, and maybe in September. We're looking at August, but definitely January. You can guarantee there will be something January, February, March, and April next year.
Very good. That second part there, the work part, obviously, each time we meet, I think we talk about economic development, industry. You all have went to Frankfurt, some already since you've been judge. Talk about what's the prospect look like of developing more business here.
Yeah, so I actually signed something yesterday in support of a company that's looking to locate here in Barren County. They're looking at property they're going to purchase, and it's moving. We can't announce it yet, but it's a big opportunity for Barren County. It's not huge, but it's a step. We're working we've met, like you said, utility companies. I've sat down with TVA. I've sat down with other entities here, water, to talk about the opportunities for growth and how we can be ready for that and to be ready for industry. Me and Maureen are doing a lot of great things together to prepare Barren County. Maureen's doing an excellent job too. And we're doing, anytime they call, Henry and I, we're there. We're there in support. We're there together. If it's for Barren County or in Glasgow, and same thing with Cave City as well, or Park City, we're going working together to make these opportunities come to Barren County. And I'm telling you, it is coming. It is. It's just, we're lining it all together to make sure we're doing it the right way. And I've told some people, Barren County is going to grow, and we're going to get industry, we're going to get housing, we're going to get these things. But we have to be strategic about it because we want to still remain an agriculture community, a small knit community like we like and we love. So as long as we're strategic about it, it'll be the growth that we can all appreciate and enjoy. The one thing we didn't talk about, though, in the month of February that I forgot to mention earlier, but, we've had 2 town hall meetings in the month of February where we went and met with people at Temple Hill School and Austin Tracy School to talk about their road issues. On a day right now, we're looking at rain coming in. After I've had the experience I've had since I've been in here, we've got a lot of road issues in Barren County. A lot of low water fords. I couldn't tell you the exact number. There's so many. And we have road closures due to that. We have inconveniences that puts for people, safety concerns, in my opinion, when it comes to school buses. We have situations where, we have roads that if we don't do things in a proactive way and things get too bad, people could, we don't want to put somebody in a situation where they can't get out or a dangerous situation. So I myself have taken a stance on we've got to fix these issues. And we looked at the road budget the other day of, and I've talked to Frankfurt, and I've got some creative ways to where, we can put some money to the table and they can put some money to the table. And I think you're going to see some big things happen in Barren County in regards to road improvements. We're no longer going to just we're no longer just going to put up barrels and close it. It's going to be, how do we fix the problem? And because I know, my daughter, she's only 13 years old, but I cannot imagine putting them on these roads and not myself and not doing everything I can to make sure that we're providing safe roads for our citizens to drive on.
Right. Well, it sounds like February, even though it was a shorter month by definition, the action wasn't short. A lot of tasks going on, a lot of things to get done, and the work continues as we move over into March. So we'll be anxious to continue to hear about this progress and appreciate you as always filling us in, telling the community about what you all are doing. And, sometimes I understand it's hard to answer some questions that come at you, but we appreciate you always being willing to do that.
Well, we appreciate you, Brennan, and really making sure that giving us the opportunity to get this information out there. And it's an open door policy. If you have any questions, you can always contact the judge's office.
All right, thank you. That's Jamie Byrd, the Barren County Judge Executive.